That's narcissistic exploitation on the part of the females with antisocial personality traits, and often, what would you say, aided and abetted by quasi-psychopathic pimps, electronic pimps. And, those OnlyFans women, that you made a very good point there, those are actually androids, right? Because they're not women. Now you might say, what the hell are you talking about, Dr. Peterson? Obviously they're women. It's like, no, they're not. They're machine-women hybrids. And the machine is the technology that can broadcast their image to millions of people. So you're not a woman anymore if you're in a million men's bedrooms at the same time. You're a woman-machine hybrid. Now it's virtualized, obviously, because it's two-dimensional and it's not embodied in the form of a robot. But the idea that that's not an android means that you're an idiot. That's what it means. It's obviously an android. And there is definitely that form of parasitism on the female part. These women have embodied capital. That's a good way of thinking about it. So they're young. They don't have economic resources, but they're young and beautiful. And that's an economic resource. Make no mistake about it. It's the highest possible form of wealth. This is another thing that the Marxist types get real wrong with their economic analysis. Because if you took, let's say, a hyper-rich 80-year-old woman and you said, well, you give away 99% of your fortune and now you inhabit the body that you had when you were 20. And then we could add to that the possibility of being stellarly beautiful. The probability that that woman would trade everything she has for that opportunity, assuming she hasn't become disenamored of life, is extraordinarily high. Female exploitation can take place with regard to men, just like male exploitation takes place with regard to women. And those women are not doing other women a favor either by monopolizing the marketplace, let's say.
No. I think that one of the ways in which women are hurt by the pretense that men and women are psychologically the same and that male and female sexuality is the same is that it's very easy for a young, beautiful woman to mistake male sexual desire for high regard. I think that really there are two parallel tracks when it comes to male sexual desire for women. There is the short term and the long term, and they are not at all the same. And that being very highly desired on the short-term track does not necessarily translate into being very highly desired on the long-term track. In fact, sometimes quite the opposite. And I think that the main error that women are making with thinking that OnlyFans is a quick buck, not only is the fact that OnlyFans is enormously unequal, and actually there are very few people on it who are making any real money, and generally the ones who are making lots of money were already famous before they joined the platform and so on. It's also the fact that the internet is forever, and these images are out there, and it damages your long-term mating prospects to have been on OnlyFans. And actually, it is clearly the case that female beauty is an incredibly valuable resource. But I think maybe the way in which it needs to be understood distinctly from economic power is it is to some extent vicarious. You can acquire enormous power as a beautiful woman through access to typically male political and economic power. But it doesn't last forever. If you're able to secure a very high status husband, for instance, and he commits to you for life, you've translated your beauty into real and lasting power. If you're not able to do that, then you will very quickly, age 35, age 40, age out of having any access to that kind of power, and then you will potentially be paying the cost later down the line. So there are some women who've become very wealthy on OnlyFans. But in general, I would say that it's very, very poor strategy. And as ever, it is presented as a kind of short-term boon.